Hello, this is Yujin. I'm a 33-year-old management consultant based in Boston. But today we are in Central Park in New York because this is where I've been dating for the past few weeks. Today, with the holiday season approaching, I'm probably dressed a little too cool for this weather. I want to share 4 C's, the differences that I've learned from dating in your 20s versus your 30s. So I do have limited dating history. I've been traveling a lot for work and I'm a little conservative when it comes to dating. But this is just one perspective. I am definitely not a dating coach. Still, I think this will be something that someone can relate to, whoever's out there who's a little struggling, just like me. So here it is. The first C I want to share with you on the differences is chemistry. By now in your 30s, you're pretty set on the way you live your life. And you know what you like, you know what you don't like. So within a few minutes, you kind of have an understanding of whether something's gonna work or not. And let me give you an example as we walk into Central Park. So a little bit more about chemistry. A few days ago, I was actually on a date and something felt a little off to the point that I took a break in the restroom and I had to throw up. Maybe TMI, but later I found out that this person was probably not a good fit and ended up dating someone in my friend circle. So I got to know more about this person, and then I was just figuring out maybe this was my body telling me that it's not a go, it's a no-go, Eugene. So there it is, some sort of chemistry, my body, my brain, just telling me that if something is off, it will give me like a little yellow flag in the form of, I guess, like throwing up. But that's just one example. And now on to the second C. So time is precious, everyone's time is very valuable. And as I started dating more in my 30s, I realized that what I have now that I didn't have much in my 20s was clarity. I'm very clear on what I want. And I also like to be more careful in terms of understanding what the other person wants too. I won't just right out say, what are you looking for? Because people can lie about their intentions. It's really easy to make something up just so the other person feels like they're being heard. So what I look for is more on actions. Does the person follow up? Do they make plans? So those are some things that I try to look out for, and clarity in terms of actions, clarity in terms of intention, and that's what I find really attractive in the person too. I recently went on a date and the very first thing the person said is, how many kids do we want? I am dating for marriage. I didn't know a lot about this person, but I had a lot of respect for someone who is very brave and courageous to openly admit that to basically me like a stranger who I met on the first date. And all things considered, I think people sometimes feel a little pressured with time, society saying like you should be settled down by this time, etc. I mean, I thought in my early 20s that I would have 2 kids by now, but here I am, still dating around. So, well, if anything, I appreciate the clarity that I have in my life, as well as the clarity that the other person is willing to give for me. So we talked about chemistry early on as you meet the person, and then we secondly talked about clarity in dating intentions. Now my third C is slightly more, I found to be a very subtle thing that I picked up in my 30s, and that is confidence. As I think about why I felt so insecure in my 20s and dating, I think about my lack of dating experience. So I went to a high school that was very strict, and it was a boarding school with a no dating policy. If you get caught dating, you get expelled. So that was me in Korea, getting called nicknames like being a tomboy, new boy with a very short hair. I think as I explored dating in my 20s in San Francisco, DC, I thought that maybe there's something wrong with me, that I don't have the qualities and the attraction that are typically considered beautiful. In my 30s, I became more confident, and here are some things I worked on. I think confidence really comes from a few things, internal things as well as external things. What I mean by that is internal, I was able to really build a career and work on myself in terms of how I present, how I think, and how I interact with the world around me. And some of the external things, I was able to build more wealth and enjoy the things that I really love with my family and loved ones. And I'm thankful for all the confidence and the life experiences that got me to where I am today. As I think about confidence in the dating context, I think it also translates to me showing up with more fun, just being myself instead of thinking it of as a job interview. In my 20s, I thought, does this person have 1, 2, 3? And I would try to ask those questions. But now I'm more confident in a way that I'm not thinking about, does this person like me? The question I ask myself is, oh, do I find this person attractive? Does our values align? Those are the things I would look out more for, because now I have actually the confidence to walk away if this is not going to work out. And for our final C. Our fourth C is actually one of my favorites, and it talks about criteria. So from now on, what are your non-negotiables? And I like to have just one thing, and that's it. And I feel like in my 20s, I used to have many things of no's. Like if you ask for an Instagram before meeting up, that's a red flag. Wow, how could you? That's an F-boy move. So I had many instances of dates that never materialized. In my 30s, my approach tends to be, yes, I will have one boundary and that's okay, and that will be more firm. So for instance, I never say yes to first drink dates. I would just casually explain, instead of going on drinks, can we do a matcha walk or go for a coffee date? Something more casual and low-key so I get to really know the person. And that's my way of testing out, is a person going to push my boundaries? Will the person say, wait, what about drinks still? That's one way for me to test out my criteria. Another way that I realized I became more comfortable doing is on dates, I feel more empowered to say no. And here's one example. This one date I went on recently, he tried to grab my hand after dinner, and I told myself, oh my gosh, first date way too fast. I get it, it's New York, but this is like a highway speed for me. And I pulled my hand away and said, I appreciate the gesture, but this is way too fast. And I was actually proud of myself for saying it. First of all, because I couldn't see my 20-year-old shy Yujin being okay with that. But now I was more confident, comfortable, and okay to set boundaries in a way that made me feel like myself. So past few weeks, I've really been enjoying dating. I know that I'm still single, probably will be another solo Christmas, but that's okay. And I am able to say this because I am comfortable and confident to admit that dating is going to be hard. Finding the right person that you hopefully want to spend the rest of your life with is not supposed to be easy. So knowing that and being comfortable where I am, I hope you can share more tips on dating with me, some things I should look out for if you have any advice, especially those who figured it out, and I look forward to hearing from you. And with that, thank you for watching, and come back to my next video topic on... I know we just finished filming this video, but as I think about what's missing in this video was complaint. I've seen a lot of videos about dating in your 30s just being really hard everywhere and anywhere these days. And I don't want to complain too much, and I also don't want to be the one sharing all the frustration, because I feel like the more negativity I put out there, that's the only thing I'm going to attract. And I want this to be a fun experience, not just for me, but also for the other person, because we're spending our precious time together. Oh, isn't this pretty? Can you see me? So no more complaining. I used to complain a lot. In my therapy sessions, I would just say, why does he do this? Why does he say that? I would try to analyze all the texts and the things that my dates would send me. And now I think I'm more free of all those worries because I'm in my 30s. It's a blessing in disguise. You feel like you have less time, but because you know you have less time, you're more intentional, you're more careful, and if anything, you're having more fun. Thank you. Okay, so I am heading over to my self-care appointment, but as we do, my friend who helped me film today, he's in his 30s, working in finance in New York, would love to add some of his perspective on how dating in his 30s has been different than dating in his 20s. So let me give him my mic. B, thank you so much for today. I would love to hear more of your perspective.
I think several differences. I think one, as a guy who's farther along in his career, I think making more enjoyable dates and having more access around the city is an option, and that makes dates more fun without financial restrictions and otherwise. I think another thing that makes the 30s a little bit different is that expectations are different on both sides. I suspect the ladies want a guy in his 30s to have his stuff and act together more so, and sort of less leeway than the same person in his 20s. I think the third thing, meeting people is harder. You don't have the same social networks as you did coming out of college. Friends who are probably half of them are married by now, and the other half are in the same boat that you are. You got less time, you got less energy, so it's harder to meet people unless you really put yourself out there. So it does have to be a priority, but it's still very much manageable and doable. I'm sure there's very many, but those are the ones that come to mind for now.
Awesome, loved hearing that. Thank you for sharing, B. As part of my self-care routine, I'm gonna go see a concert in about 20 minutes. You guys are about to see the Lincoln Center. It's one of my favorite places in New York City. Ooh. So I was never a ballet person. I really appreciate that form of art. But every time I go to a ballet, I feel like a fatso. So it's not for me. So here we are watching one of Korea's famous pianists, Himanshu. Wow, so pretty today.
Let's go, it's time to be the GOAT. It's time to enter God mode, man, let's get it going. I wanna be the greatest, energy is overflowing. I know I'm stoking the fire,